What is going on, everybody? So I work for a company, for those of you who don't know, called Technicians, and we do saltwater aquariums, freshwater tanks, ponds, all that good stuff. And I'm making this video today because one of the things that we were dealing with and encountering most often was people losing fish. You know, they go to the fish store, they get a really expensive fish, and it would die a couple of days later. They would get a fish, they'd add it to their tank, and that one fish would wipe out their whole system. We were seeing this problem time and time again. So eventually Tommy branched off and opened up his own company, Technicians, and brought me along with him, and we decided to open up a quarantine shop for fish, but also coral as well. But mainly we started because of fish, because the problem of fish disease and fish loss in the hobby was so just out of control that we felt like we had to address it and we had to do something about it, because we were seeing so many people excited to be in the hobby and then, you know, have a terrible experience with losing fish that they really cared about and getting out of the hobby and just be like, it's just not for me, I don't want to do this again. And that really sucks. That's a really horrible thing for people to have to deal with. I think a little bit of negligence on the fish store's part, but also there's not enough education out there or readily available info for just the average customer to know what to do and how to deal with fish. A lot of people don't see fish as pets like they do cats and dogs and even reptiles, and they see them more as like pieces of art or a decoration to be looked at, and not as animals that we really have to care for, so they're not really prepared for what goes into it. So that's a big reason why we opened up this quarantine shop. Now I'm going to go through our systems real quick and give you an idea, just a quick idea of what we do here at our facility, and the different things that we do to minimize any fish disease getting into our customers' tanks. Because at the end of the day, like, we have a ton of service customers, and we got to make sure that their tanks are healthy and thriving. Otherwise, guess what? We don't have customers and we're out of job. Not just that, we don't want to do that to customers. Like, we don't want people to like care about a fish and then if suddenly that fish is gone. That's messed up. We don't want to do that. I worked in a fish store for a bit, and it really was not a good feeling seeing fish die and seeing, 30-40% mortality rate. It wears on you, and I just didn't like it, and it's part of the reason why I joined Tommy and Technicians, because I believed in what he was doing and I believed in quarantining these fish. We are doing our best to try to streamline it and make it as easy and accessible for everybody to do in this hobby. One of the ways in which we do that, now a lot of people have systems that are already set up. A lot of people don't want to have to catch the fish out of their tanks that are sick, and a lot of times when you do try to catch a fish out of someone's tank, just the act of trying to catch the fish is so stressful to the fish that, like, once you catch it and on the ride back to the shop to treat it, it dies because it's just so panicked and already weak and everything. So we had to come up with a solution of an in-tank treatment for diseases like a marine velvet or other parasitic issues that we were seeing. Tommy's a marine biologist, so he's constantly searching for information and things to back up any type of data that will help us in our journey. And one of the things that we found interesting was Humble Fish, going on the Humble Fish forums, but also Humble Fish's videos that he has, great videos. And one of the things that intrigued us were his videos on hydrogen peroxide in tank treatment. So dosing hydrogen peroxide on a doser to your display tank. It seemed to yield pretty good results. And here's the catch though, here's the thing that really intrigued us. A lot of our customers have reef tanks, which means they have corals in their aquariums. This hydrogen peroxide seems to work very well as an in-tank treatment, but also alongside the coral in your aquarium. So you don't have to take coral out of your tank. We've minimal effect on coral. This was really awesome. This is our huge breakthrough, because anybody who knows how to treat some of these diseases knows the coppers and all the other medications of the world will kill your coral. So we're going to go to a customer's house who was previously with a different service company, who was just losing fish like rapidly. And I mean, he was spending big money on fish, like Achilles tangs. I mean, he was spending big time money on fish, and he was just watching them die one by one in his aquarium. He called us as a last ditch effort. So we went to his aquarium, we hooked them all up, we set up a doser, started dosing hydrogen peroxide. I think it's going on a month now that we've been doing this, but we're headed there today, and we're gonna see the results a month into the treatment. Now this is, I believe, a 90-day treatment. Let's look at the health of the fish. Let's look for signs of diseases, but let's also look at the coral and see if this hydrogen peroxide, is this a legitimate way of treating a lot of our fish disease, especially marine velvet. All right, so here we are at the customer's house, and as you guys can tell, the tank is really pretty, beautiful aquarium, mixed reef, LPS, SPS, softies, all that stuff. And when we first got this aquarium, it was in rough shape. And the fish were dying, they were sick. It was not looking good. So we're gonna take a look today and see how the fish are coming along with their 1 month in hydrogen peroxide dosing. And the anthias, anybody who's ever had anthias knows these are delicate fish. The anthias looks good there. No signs of anything on there. Sailfin tang. It was breathing hard last time I was here. Heavy gill movement. Looking good. Yellow tang. The yellow tang actually lost an eye, which is crazy. But it's looking really, really good. Blue hippo tang. Everybody knows those are delicate and are ick magnets. No signs of ick on there. Clownfish, they're pretty resilient. But they're looking well too. That Midas Plenty is awesome. I love that Midas Plenty. But these fish were very, very covered in parasites, very lethargic, breathing heavy, rapid gill movement. And we are not seeing anything that to me is standing out. And you can see right here, look at the corals, look at the soft corals. They look great, they look good. Look at the cabbage coral in the corner here. There's no recession, there's no tightness. That's a monopora. If anybody's ever tried to grow monopora knows monopora can be a very hard coral to grow. That's still got great color on it. Now, as far as LPS, this is chalice corals and favias in this tank. Blastos, they're all looking good. Now, there was some aptasia in this tank, and I believe some other type of irritant that was bothering the corals, which we're going to address. But as far as the hydrogen peroxide dosing, we're not seeing any polyp bailout from any of the Euphyllia corals. The star polyp is out and present. The Hollywood stunner is out and present. So, you know, it doesn't seem to be bothering. And as far as this favia, look at this favia. It's encrusting on the rock. We're not seeing regression. We're not seeing bleaching. We're not seeing polyp bailout. Now, these acans, those are from, they are missing a couple of heads, but that was from before. And these pallies weren't even coming out now. They're actually coming out. Again, look at this coral. Polyps are actually out. It's big, fat, and fluffy. It looks healthy. So the hydrogen peroxide treatment does not seem to be bothering the corals. This one's actually encrusting on the rock right there. Polyps out, encrusting on the rock, growing. These are all great signs. Now we have to monitor it closely. And I do get worried about whether the hydrogen peroxide, how it affects the bacteria, bacteria in the aquarium, which could throw it off or unbalance it. I'm keeping a mindful eye on that. Today we are increasing the dosage of hydrogen peroxide. So I'm actually adding the other dose of hydrogen peroxide to it. So we got 2 dosers going, Sentia dosers. Highly recommend these dosers because they do the work for you. They do the math for you. They're Wi-Fi enabled. You can change it from anywhere. I highly recommend the Sentia dosers. I like them a lot, especially when doing a hydrogen peroxide treatment. They do the math for you, like I said. So we're adding another hydrogen peroxide. We're already dosing during the day. We're going to be adding some at night. And we're going to hit this tank really, really hard for the full 90 days. And we're going to try to wipe out every single parasite that's in this aquarium. Just zap them all. We're going to just kill them all where they stand. We're not going to let them do anything good. And just crush the whole tank. And there's not going to be a single parasite in here. And pretty soon this tank will be ready for new fish and more coral. Now this system right here we just got in. Just recently set it up and we got a couple of fish in here. This system is going to be dedicated to hydrogen peroxide. We're going to be dosing hydrogen peroxide. You can see that this, excuse the mess, we just got a Red Sea tank in. We're going to be setting that up pretty soon. You can see that's the sump. All this is on one filtration. And then all that's going to be on one filtration too. So we're going to be dosing the whole systems to hydrogen peroxide. And we're going to basically quarantine these fish like that. And we still got the rock, we still got the sand in there. That's not going to play any factor in the hydrogen peroxide dosing. Not like, you know, if you would with copper, where the rocks and the sand do affect the amounts of copper and will also absorb some of the copper, making it less potent. The hydrogen peroxide is not affected by those things. And we're also going to have a couple of Kenya trees and pulsing zinnias in there just to kind of prove to people, hey, that your coral will be fine if you dose hydrogen peroxide. But this system's all going to be hydrogen peroxide really soon, so I'm looking forward to that. Now here's our ongoing quarantine system that we have. These guys are in observation. I believe they'll be done with observation Friday. So in about 3 days they'll be out of observation, and they have already got their home picked out. A beautiful, I think a big old tank that they're gonna be going into. This tank that they're going into is amazing. So very lucky fish, but all these guys are gonna be going in there. But anybody who's ever kept the Antheus knows how delicate and how difficult they can be to keep alive, let alone get through quarantine. I've worked in a fish store and I've been around fish stores long enough to know that the Antheus are one of the fish that are the most easily affected by stress and also fish disease. They don't last very long in fish stores. That's why you see a lot of these fish stores, as soon as they get an Antheus, they want to get rid of them as soon as possible, because they know the longer they hold these fish into their systems, the more likely that they are to die. And honestly, folks, I'm gonna be real with you. I think it's about a 50-50 mortality rate. Like, I really think 50% of the time your Antheus are gonna die. That's how bad it is. But to prove that our quarantine method, I think, is headed in the right direction, and I'm so confident in it, is there you have these lyre tail Antheus right here that have been in quarantine in this 29-gallon tank for 6 weeks. And to me, that's just a testament to the rigorous work that goes into treating these fish. Now, these are sponge filters. So that's the only filtration in here, is the sponge filters. And we have our intake right there, our bubblers, where our bubblers go, our airline tubing. We have that little PVC that's sticking out. That's our exhaust. So any water vapor that will come out will go through there. There's filtration and carbon inside that. Those are homemade. We made those ourselves. And then we have a sealed top here. And the only time we open the tank is this little feeding port right here. And we feed the fish through that. Everything else is sealed. It has no contact with a tank that's nearby it. Say for instance this one, these two are on different filtration setups. There's no cross contamination. They're both sealed. Say for instance this tank, there is no cross contamination. Both these tanks are sealed. They both are on their own airline tubing, their own filtration, their own exhaust, and closed up with their own feeding port. That's how we here do it at Tanknitions. Now, I know a lot of people in the comments have been asking, when are we going to be shipping out? Well, unfortunately, we are in a little facility right now, a little retail spot, so we really don't have the means to ship out right now, but that is the plan. Hopefully one day, if we're able to get enough, if we're able to streamline this whole thing and be able to be successful at it, then that's the idea. Hopefully one day we'll have a warehouse and we're able to ship out on a bigger level, but as of right now, we're not there yet. But if you're local and you want to quarantine fish, come on by for sure. We can do it. Lake Park, Florida, Palm Beach County. We have some great fish here. Another example right here of a pork fish that came from a customer's tank. They were sold this fish, and it is the lone survivor of all the fish that they bought from a third-party fish store. It wiped out all their fish, and this was the last little survivor right here. And we brought him back to our quarantine shop. We got him medicated. We got him cured of his marine velvet. And you can see he's pretty feisty right now, so I can't wait to find him a new home. Now, we do this here at the shop where we have more readily available medications, where we have a different type of setup than you would see at home. I'm working on a video on how to quarantine at home. I'm still working on what's the best, most effective way to quarantine fish at home. Do we use copper? I really want to stay away from formalin. I don't like handling formalin, especially for an at-home environment. Maybe we do hydrogen peroxide. Maybe we try a couple things. But I'm working on those videos because I know a lot of people want to see that. But I just want to share what we're doing here at Tanknitions, what we're doing and what's been successful. We've used this hydrogen peroxide treatment on several tanks, in treatment tanks with corals, and it's worked well for us. So I'm going to stop talking because I've talked too much already. I'm going to show proof to you guys that this hydrogen peroxide treatment is real.